What's up, everyone, and happy Sunday. I wanted to hop on here real quick to go over the earnings that are on deck for next week. The market just reached all-time highs, which I was honestly kind of surprised. I thought it was going to wait until some of these big companies report earnings next week before we saw, the next, all-time high. But the market's been pretty relentless here lately, and I think depending on how these companies report earnings next week could tell us whether or not we're going to continue higher or if we're going to send the market into a frenzy. Because again, the companies that are reporting next week, which we're going to cover in just a second, are huge companies, right? It's like your Mag 7 that are reporting pretty much. And then I'm also going to go over 3 stocks that I'm watching for trade ideas. So stay tuned for that if that's something you're interested in. And so let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, we have all the earnings on deck. Again, next week is a huge earnings week, packed with earnings, right? And we have some of our biggest companies reporting next week. So it is going to be a very volatile and eventful week for sure. But with that being said, SoFi, that is one stock that I am watching. Obviously this has been a really, really, really hyped up stock. When it comes to a trade idea, there's really no trade idea here. This is just more of a buy and hold, in my opinion. So I have a small position because it does look like this thing could break out. I think analysts' expectation for this stock are just really, really low, and their guidance for their company, like what they feel their EPS is going to grow and their revenue is going to grow, I think they're really conservative on those numbers. So it's making the company look like it's overvalued, but I think the management team's just doing it on purpose, right? I think they're just setting really, really low expectations so they know they can beat it. And I wouldn't be surprised, again, if we get a double beat and a raise in guidance, and this could send the stock higher. But again, this is not financial advice. Please, don't make trades based off of my videos or what I'm saying. This is just what I'm doing personally and whatnot. So with that being said, Enphase, that is a trade idea stock that I'm going to cover the charts on. And then Wednesday after the market close, huge day. We have Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Chipotle, and then followed by Eli Lilly in the morning on Thursday, and then Amazon and Apple after the market closes. I mean, again, some of the biggest companies are reporting next week, and this is going to, again, move the entire markets. If these companies report killer earnings and they continue higher, the markets are going to move up, right? And if they don't be surprised if we see a pullback in the markets. So again, these are companies and earnings that we want to keep our eyes on for sure. Again, with that being said, another trade idea for you is Cheesecake Factory. And that's probably one you haven't heard of too much. I think there's a good opportunity there, and a company I like for the long-term hold as well. And then Amazon. Okay, so feel free to go ahead and take a screenshot of these earnings so you have them, on your calendar for next week, and when they're reporting. But with that being said, again, I'm going to keep this video pretty short. I'm going to go jump into some of these trade ideas that I'm mentioning. So let's jump to the chart and look at some technicals. All right, so this is Enphase. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but this is insane, right? I mean, this is just a bloodbath. I mean, this stock has just been going down and down and down and down, and it just keeps going down. But with that being said, they do have earnings reporting, and whether or not I would buy before earnings, that is entirely up to you. I don't feel like there's too much more downside, but again, every time we get to this point, we tend to just fall off a cliff. But you can see where we're really starting to level out here, right? Let me zoom into the 4 hour, right? We kind of bottomed out here. Maybe we bottomed out, but we've really been consolidating a good bit here. And this is what I'm looking for, okay? I'm looking for a break above this level right here. A break of structure in this, right? Like, it almost feels like we're breaking it, but as soon as it breaks out of here, right? That is a break of structure. We get out of this bear trend that we've been in for such a long time. I mean, look, we cannot break above this blue line, this moving average. Every time you can see that it touches this blue line, it falls and gets rejected and gets rejected and gets rejected and gets rejected. And now we're honestly like all over the blue line now, right? Like, you can argue that maybe we have kind of broken above it, but it hasn't been like a clear breakout. So this is a good trade opportunity in my opinion. Obviously, this is definitely one I'd want to put your stop loss on. But with the interest rates beginning to cut, right? This is one reason why the stock's down so much. Solar companies, they do a lot of financing when people buy solar, right? And so high interest rates murder this company. Like it's terrible. But I do think there's a lot of long-term potential here. And of course, maybe this is a stock you just add to your watch list and you could have it for like a long-term hold. But nonetheless, obviously, I think the smart thing to do, wait for earnings. And if they have good earnings and this thing rips up, right, wait for a break and a retest back down to this level and see if you can't, take a longer-term position for a swing trade. And then, of course, in my opinion, you're kind of just gambling if you buy any stock before earnings, unless your goal is to hold it for a long time. And that's just my honest truth or opinion. So moving on to the next stock that I think is a great trade opportunity and a long-term hold, honestly. And, arguably all of these could be a long-term hold just because, this stock is so damn beaten down. Like, I don't see how much more further it can go. But hey, just like I don't think the market could go much higher and it keeps going. So nonetheless, this is the next one that I think is a great opportunity. So the Cheesecake Factory, this is a company trading at a 16 forward price to earnings. That's nothing. This is super undervalued. And again, I'm not going to get too much into detail of this company, but the Cheesecake Factory, I'm sure you've eaten at the Cheesecake Factory, but they have new concepts that they are putting out and they are building pretty rapidly. So like, I feel like they're entering into like a possible growth phase of these companies. Like Flower Child is one. Look at like your Chipotle's, right? Look at that company too. Just massive growth because obviously there's Chipotle's everywhere and they're more affordable too. And so they're pretty much, making something like that, right? Cheaper concepts of food. And they have a proven concept, the Cheesecake Factory. So again, nonetheless, just based solely off the technicals though, you can see every time we get down to this moving average, we bounce off of it almost every single time. This company is extremely bullish for the most part, and it gives a dividend as well. Not a huge dividend. What is it? 1.92%, but still, hey, if you're gonna hold a stock and wait for some upside, it's nice to at least get paid something on it while you're holding it. But you can see we are right here at that moving average, and we dip down. And let me zoom in a little bit more for you. All right, so same thing, right? It's that reversal that I'm telling you about, and we have the sell off, and then we have the consolidation, right? And now we just broke back up above the moving average, right? And now we're just hanging out right here. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it comes back down to retest and then goes back up. But nonetheless, in my opinion, I don't think this is a bad spot to start a position. You don't have too much downside here. You can put your stop loss either under all of this support or, maybe a little bit lower. But here we have, maybe put your stop loss. It'd probably make a little bit more sense to do it, towards here since that's most of the support. So from these current levels, that's, a 5% downside. I see this thing going back to all-time highs and honestly, even higher. But, just let's say we go back to all-time highs. That's 15. That's a 3 multiple. So, in other words, you're risking, 5% to make 15%. So you're making 3 times your money of what you're risking. But yeah, I think that's a good opportunity. I'd keep your eyes on that. And I like the company for a long-term outlook as well. It's a dividend company. I think it's got a lot of growth ahead of it. It doesn't move a lot. It's not super volatile. It's easy to trade. Not super stressful either. So yeah, keep your eyes on that one. And then obviously, the next one, Amazon. We all know Amazon. And, this is a company that it's just a lot of the other companies Meta and this is a company that I think is just lagging a little bit compared to some of the other Mag 7 out there that are making all-time highs like Google. Apple's been ripping up lately. I feel like we're just kind of lagging behind here. I don't trade off analyst price targets by any means, but again, you have 68 analysts covering this stock, and we're at the low analyst price range. Under the low analyst price range. Again, when you have a stock with that many analysts recommending it, buying it, it's a pretty easy money in my opinion. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean we can't report earnings and it be bad. So again, I think Amazon's a great long-term investment. I'd have no problem buying some shares right here. And then if it falls, I'll just buy more, easily, right? Not a problem. But I'd rather take a little bit position here, in my opinion, and then, if earnings, if it rips up, then it's like, okay, cool, that's awesome. But if it goes down, hey, I'll buy some more. So I'd maybe be like a half allocation here. And then after earnings, you decide if you want to add more to your position or not. I mean, this is, again, a pretty easy play in my opinion. And again, I mean, maybe this isn't as much of a trade idea as much as it's just like, I think this is a very undervalued, easy stock to put your money into right now. And to put it in before earnings, like I wouldn't be too scared to do that either. But you can see that, it went in a big slump as the whole market was in, and we went back down, tested that moving average, bounced back up off of it. I have no reason to doubt that we're at least not going back to all-time highs, and I'm pretty confident we're going to break out of that. Because again, I mean, the market's breaking out to all-time highs, but yet Amazon's not, right? So if the market's going to continue higher, Amazon's got to break out, right? Like it will carry the market higher, and it will determine whether or not the market has another leg or not, because, I mean, it's a huge company, valued at $2.39 trillion. I mean, you get it, right? But so anyway, those are the 3 stocks that I'm keeping my eyes on when it comes to trade ideas, and with the earnings coming up. Yeah, but that's all I have for you guys in this one. Those are the 3 stocks that I'm keeping my eyes on when it comes to more trade ideas or trading, right? Me specifically, but I'm keeping my eyes on all of those companies. And just a heads up, if Meta or Google or any of those companies were to have bad earnings and dip, and sell off, I will be buying the dip on those companies. I just think obviously most of the Mag 7s are just no-brainers when they have a big sell-off, or when they, sell off for any reason, right? Earnings or bad news or whatever it might be, they typically will always recover, right? So, hey, I hope you found this video helpful. If you're still here, please consider subscribing to the channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.